Hello everyone. So I'll continue with my previous lecture. I had been discussing about public policy, and thus since it is the next day of discussion regarding public policy, so in a gist I would like to say that there are 4-5 aspects related to public policy. First, public policies are goal oriented in the sense that policies which are being formulated and which are being implemented in order to achieve certain objectives, certain goal which the government has in view, or which the government had kept in mind when they created this policy. So the ultimate objective is to have the maximum benefit to the masses in general. So these policies are clearly spell out the intended objective, the desired outcome, the program of the government. Secondly, public policy is also the outcome of government's collective effort or actions, in the sense that a pattern or a course of activity of the government officials and actors who had been involved in formulating, implementing it, takes a collective sense, because everybody are being connected to the functioning of to the implementation, and it is all their discrete and segregated decisions which come together and makes a policy. It is a collective effort. It is not based on an individual's decision, but rather there are the opinions of the experts, the opinion of the people who have certain expertise and knowledge. So it talks about collective activity where the government officials, the actors who are involved in the policy making, they are the ones who have their full discretion, they have their opinion, and together they make the policy. Next is public policy is what the government decides or chooses to do. So a public policy is particularly related to the government. It is a prerogative of the government. It is the relationship of the government whether they want to have this specific field of in a specific area, they want to create a policy in the specific field, specific area, looking into the political environment in a given administrative system. And it can take various forms. It can be a law, it can be ordinance, it could be a court decision, it could be any executive order, it could be the legislation. So it is entirely upon the government, because since public is associated with it, so it is entirely whether what kind of policy, what actually the kind of policy the government needs to understand, needs to decide and chooses. Lastly, public policy is positive in the sense that it depicts the concern of the government, and also it involves its action to a particular problem on which the policy is made. So it is positive in sense because it involves a particular action, it has the sanctity, the sanction of law and authority behind it. Whenever a policy comes into existence, it has its sanctity, it has legality of it, there is a sanctity to it, and negatively also it has a positive impact, but it has some negative repercussions, because it involves decisions by the government officials regarding not taking any action on a particular issue. So if there is some loopholes in the implementation, or if the policy has not meted out its desired objective and goal, so not much, not a particular, sometimes it is left unnoticed, and it not effective affirmative action has been taken to look into this, that why the policy is not functioning as being thought of. So there are certain characteristics of public policy making. First of all, public policy making is a very complex process. Now when we say complex process, because it involves many components which are interconnected by communication, by feedback loops, and which interact in different ways. It functions in different ways. Some part of the process are explicit and they could be directly observable, but many other procedures or process, they move through hidden channels, and that officials themselves often are not partly aware of it. So these hidden procedures, they are difficult to understand, they are difficult to observe, and they're often impossible to relate to it. So the guidelines which are often formed by a series of single decisions, it could result in a policy without one of the decision makers being aware of that process. So it is a very complex dynamic process, because a lot of people are involved in it. Sometimes it becomes difficult to observe the flaws and the loopholes which might be persistent in the process. Sometimes the policy passes through various hidden channels and in hidden means, so that also becomes a hindrance, a challenge when policies are being made. Secondly, as I said, that it is a dynamic process. Policy making is a process, is a dynamic process, is a continuous process. It works in continuity, taking place within a structure. For sustenance, it requires continuous input of resource and motivation. You need to be constantly motivated, the resource should be generated, and it is dynamic because it would be changes within time. There is a lot of flexibility in the policy part of it, because you need to go along with the changing needs and demands of the society, and the consequences of the sub processes and phases would also be internally modified, internally changed in respect to each other. So that's why it is a dynamic process. Next, policy making comprises various components. Now when we say it comprises various components, the complexity of public policy is we all know about the various complexities of a public policy, and what are the characteristics, the complexity of these policies or public policies let us know the important characteristics of policies. It often involves when we talk about the formulation of a policy, it has substructures, it has various components, trying to understand the involvement in the policy making system, different issues, societal issues, the structure of the society, the socio-economic fabric of the society. It talks about the societal values. Sometimes it also has to be taken into consideration that it should not coincide. A policy's broader objective goal should not coincide or should not disregard or disrespect the cultural values, the ethos related to a particular community, particular group. Also looks into the various pressing demands, the circumstances. The structures and the substructures which are involved, the policy in the policy making, it has different layers and various components. Then policy structures makes different contributions. Now this characteristics suggest that every substructure makes a difference, and sometimes they are unique and they contribute to public policy immensely. Now what kind of contribution these substructures make? Informal characteristics which may vary from society to society. Because the policy structure, what is the agenda, what are the goals, what are the objectives, what is the implementation process, how it is being monitored and supervised, what is the evaluation procedure. The entire structure in the policy makings, it may differ from country to country, and it have different contributions, in the sense that if you talk about implementation, we would like to see the channels through which it is being implementation, the machine, the mechanisms through which the institutions which are being implemented. And if you talk about the formulation, we will look into that at the time of the formulation, significant the people, the target population, the beneficiaries who are involved, or the opinions of the experts, how they influence the formulation. And for the same matter, monitoring and supervision, when you monitor and supervision, then also you need to see that the monitoring resources or the monitoring channels or supervision channels, are they effective and efficiently, constantly keeping the policy in loop. And then of course you need to talk about the evaluation part of it. Then decision making, policy making is is an act of decision making, because it is uses the decision making process it with along with the policy making system. It gives weightage. It is the government's involvement to make rational, logical decision in terms of its formulation and implementation. Then lays down major guidelines. When you talk about public policy, in most cases, they laid down general directives, general guidelines, rather than detailed instructions, or rather on the main lines which has to be followed. So apart from what are the broader key points, what are the major guidelines, it also gives a very detailed it gives directives after the main line of action, that what have to be decided, what would be the sub policies, and how it would be translated from general theory into more concrete form. Next is this results in action. Decision making can result in action. When you talk about action, that is what are the changes which is going to be present, and the policies they are mostly socially significant, and decision making in public policy is such that it becomes mandatory, or rather it is making an intention to intended to bring about the desired outcome, the desired result in an action. So policies directed at policy making apparatus, talking about the efficiencies in the government structure which are action oriented. So when you talk about results, it is what are the changes which has taken place, or rather it talks about the decision making process, where through this decision what actions had been generated, what reactions had been taken into consideration. Then directed at the future. When we talk about direction, policy making is directed at the future, because this is one of the most important aspect of policy structure, because it introduces the ever present elements of uncertainty, and doubtful predictions are established, but nevertheless they set the basic tone and the basic present of basic criteria of a policy. So actual policy making tends to formulate policies in vague and elastic terms, but the future may it is giving a sense of direction, and they try to adjust it permits. When you talk about the direction at future, it is actually giving certain scope, it is paving the way for the future thinkers to bring about to accommodate, to permit policymakers to adjust the policies according to the emerging facts, and enable them to guide against unforeseen circumstances. So during the course of the implementation of the policy, it gives a sense of direction, and it tries to eliminate any uncertainties or any untoward incidents which or doubtful predictions when the policy is being moving or it is going ahead. Then mainly formulated by governmental organizations or governmental organs, policies, particularly the public policies, is also directed in part at private and non-governmental structures also, but it is mainly formulated by the government, and there would be certain laws, certain legislations, there would be prohibition in terms of certain types of behavior, or certain types of involvement of private sectors, but public policies in most cases are primarily directed by the governmental actions, and they are intendedly they have this the intention of public policies are they are intermediately and secondary sources or resources they can conjoin together with other voluntary institutions or organizations, but primarily the focus is on the government body and government machinery system. Of course, the next part of when you talk about the characteristics, it aims at achieving what is in the public interest. It is difficult to understand, or it might find out that what would be public interest. But when we bring a policy, it tries to, it brings the evidence that it is influencing or it is benefiting to the masses at a maximum level. And it is a real phenomena, and the important part of that is mostly it is operationalized, understanding the nitty gritties, and what actually is desirable desirable for the general public. It tries to conveys the idea of achieving the best interest amongst the public. Use of best possible means, when we talk about the use of best possible means, that public policy is aim at achieving the maximum net benefit, and benefits and cost take part in the form of realized values as well as impaired values respectively. So in most cases it is expressed in common units, and sometimes it is more of quantitative, often quantitative techniques cannot be used in the area of public policy, but qualitative significance, but neither, I mean, both qualitative as well as quantitative significance would not be able to, I mean, techniques would not provide maximum benefit, but yet it aims at bringing about necessary changes when the policy is being implemented, and it also broadly focuses on the possible alternative public policies in terms of benefits and cost. So it which might be reduced later on. So cost benefit analysis has to be done when a policy comes into flow. So and the use of best possible means it could be both quantifiable, it might be both quantitatively also you can assess, and qualitatively also one can assess the outcomes of a public policy. Lastly, it involves of involvement of various bodies, agencies. Apart from the governmental intervention and apart from government's role, there would be other experts or intellectuals, legislatures, bureaucrat, political parties, political executive, judiciary, or prominent members from involuntary institutions and organizations. They may participate in the deliberations, in the decision making process when formulating a public policy. So it can influence the public policy to a great extent. When we talk about problem solving in policy, problem solving, when we look into public policy, the major focus is to resolve issues, to resolve problems, and in order to resolve issues, it's more of a proactive, which is involving government intervention, but it also talks about that how would you resolve the problems, that is the goals, the objectives, the aim, the agenda, that has to be identified, that has to be taken into consideration, then only you can resolve a problem. So they would have a clear cut, or I would say they would have a clear objectives and what are the intended outcomes. If I want to talk about a policy related to the education of girl child, so if I say this, or a policy of elderly people, so the broader goals, objectives has to be clearly written, they has to be clearly spelled out, then only it would be more feasible and it would be more realistic in achieving them. So the policy which would, under the policies, when you talk about the problem solving, that if there is an issue of if there is an economic crisis, or if there is a psychosocial, if I take the example of elderly population, if there is some economic crisis, or if they are grappling with health issues, health concerns, psychosocial issues, adjustment in the society, so if these are the various problems, for each and every single problem, proper objective, clear objectives, goals has to be defined. There should be no room for ambiguity, and with the intended outcomes, that if I am resolving an issue, if I'm trying to solve a problem, I should also have how well it is impacting. So it becomes proactive, where the government intervention is at large to address an issue. Sometimes negative action would also be there, because sometimes the government fail to understand the why a particular policy is not being successfully running with the same amount of input and suggestions, and same deliberations has been taken. So sometimes it is being ignored, fails to identify a specific issue and the actions taken to it. Then there is a coercive nature of public policy. There are legal authority, as I mentioned earlier, that since it is a government's mandate, and the government have the government's intervention, the significance, the role of the government is of utmost importance, because they are the ones who are creating policy. So there is a coercive nature. So there is the sanctity, the legality of a public policy is through legal authority. They have the binding legal effects, such as tax laws, regulations, amendments. They are enforced through legal mechanisms, like penalties, fines. So it comes under jurisdiction. When you talk about the policies, it could be executive, it could be legislative, as well as judiciary aspect. And when you talk about the enforcement of policies, violation of any such schemes and policies could lead to fines and penalties on the individual or a group or institutions or organizations. The impact of such coercive nature, it ensures compliance, it ensures that conformity to the policy, that we are complying, we are conforming to the rules, regulations of the policy, and it shapes the behavior, it shapes the outcome of the policy accordingly. Significance of public policy, as I said, that it has a theoretical importance, it enhances the understanding of the policy process and their outcomes, giving a detailed analysis how from the very beginning of formulation, or rather I would say the theoretical understanding, theoretical part in public policy, theoretical approach in understanding public policy, the processes of it. And when you say process, it is about from the inception of it, that how a policy is being made, who are the stakeholders, who are the experts, for whom the policies are being made, by whom it is being made, and what are the probable outcomes, the positive outcomes, the impact, the intended outcomes of a policy. It How it is influencing the real world issues, addressing real world issues and challenges which are in the society, and how through these policies, when you talk about whether environmental policies, economic policies, so how they are helping in shaping, in molding the current fabric, current status of a country or a nation. And when you talk about the democratic aspect, it also reflects societal values. As I mentioned earlier, that policies are constructed, policies are made keeping in mind the cultural, social, economic aspect of a nation. It may vary depending upon what is the need of that nation or that country, who would be the beneficiaries, who would be the target population, what kind of resources they have. How they are going to allocate and manage resources, what is the economy of of the country. Depending on this, even the constitutional aspect, even the laws, the constitutional framework of a country would determine that what kind of policies would be made, how it is going to be integrated into the social, cultural fabric of a nation, and how the government is going to prioritize those policies, guiding, giving some certain direction to public opinion and public action. When you talk about the theoretical and scientific reasons for studying public policies, of course, it provides insights, it delves deeper understanding of the cause and effect of policy decisions, how when we make a policy and the decisions are being made, how it is going to impact the society at large. Scientifically also it applies, it talks about applying theoretical knowledge to resolve practical problems, and it looks into or improves the efficiency, the character, the structure of policy making through rigorous policy analysis. And it also combines, or it takes into recommendations and suggestions from various other experts or from outside sources in order to improve and enhance the policy. Political and administrative reasons are there for studying public policies, where it helps individuals, the groups, to understand their policy preferences, clearly defined objectives and goals without any ambiguity. Administratively also, it helps in understanding and improving the effectiveness of government machinery, government actions, what role, what responsibilities lies with the government in creating, in bringing about a policy, in its means of implementation, evaluation, monitoring and supervision. And there is a moral obligation also attached to it, that it encourages experts or people from eminent areas of academic pursuit, or from academics, or from work area, where they contribute in the development of effective and ethical policies. Economic and social system improvement, public policies also talks about the socio-economic development. It aims at improving not only the social conditions, economic conditions, but also it brings about a holistic welfare approach in people's life. So like industrial development, land reform, civil rights protection, legislations, laws safeguarding their interests, social insurance, social security measures. So the impact of the policies are wider, in the sense that they not only shapes but it also improves societal structure. It creates a balance, it brings about a harmony in the society, and it focuses on individual well-being. There are some examples I have taken up in order to talk about the social improvement, like legislations and acts, Protection of Civil Rights Act, Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribe Acts. Then there is policy, if you talk about the welfare aspect, there are policies for older persons, there are policies for the protection of women from domestic violence, or any discriminatory policies are there. Then there are certain general wider policies, like if you look into the health policies, or there are various, these policies are broader guidelines, and under these policies there are welfare measures, there are schemes, there are constitutional safeguards, constitutional remedies which are both enshrined in your fundamental rights as well as in the both enshrined in the constitutional, as in the capacity of fundamental rights as well as directive principles of state policy. So when we want to assess the impact of any particular policy, it has to be effectively evaluated, and after evaluation or during the course of evaluation, there is ongoing evaluation also, and there is after complete evaluation also, where the pros and cons of the policy, whether it has improved the social economic conditions of the individual, whether it has elevated their present status, how much it has been benefited to the population, and whether it could be replicated in other parts of the country, or where if there's one is successful. Few years back, if I say that microfinance or self-help groups had emerged, so it was this there was a lot of apprehensions, or I would say there was a lot of deliberations that SHGs were more successful, were more effective down south rather than in the northern regions. But now when you talk about NRLUM and NULM, National Urban Livelihood Mission, then through this the northern regions have also have explored the possibility of making SHGs successful one. So however, along with the challenges and threats, there are certain external as well as internal challenges which would pose a threat to public policies. External threats would be like policies addressing national defense and international relations. We often sign international covenants and international treaties. So sometimes it happens that a country's policies may not go along with what the foreign covenants or other external international covenants or relations would, and sometimes their economic activities also influences what kind of social or health or education policies you are talking about. So sometimes these national treaties and conventions or MOUs may not go well along with the country's policies, which underdeveloped countries or developed countries, depending upon the crisis or depending upon the challenges which are there. Then internal issues, policies dealing with regionalism, decentralization. There may be internal conflicts, internal imbalances, and internal stability has not been meted out, then also it could pose a threat. And then what would be the strategic response in dealing with these challenges? Like formulation of policies would be done in such a manner that both external as well as internal challenges would be effectively met. Policies used as a tool for shaping the future. Historically, we need to understand how the past policies had shaped the current as well as future policy making system. Using projections, data analysis, anticipating and addressing issues which would give possible outlook towards what would be the future issues, and through this, like, it's more like proactive and forecasting that what would be upcoming issues so that policies could be made. And of course there has to be a long term vision in developing in those policies along with the societal growth and progress. So as I was saying that policy could be considered as a tool for shaping the future, that we need to understand, we have to have the past policies, understanding the current, taking up, doing forecasting, understanding what would be the future trends and what kind of policies needs to be formulated which would have a long-term vision. So through policies, we have, if we talk about setting up future trends or projecting future trends, we need to do trend analysis, we need to collect data, analyze data, forecasting societal trends, and looking into what would be identifying the key areas where policies can be effectively created, formulated, implemented and monitored. Thank you everyone. That's all for today's lecture. In the next lecture, I will start with the next topic. Most probably, I'll begin with values and principles of social policy. Today's lectures was all about public policy. I hope that this lecture of mine have given you a conceptual clarity in the area of public policy. Thank you everyone.